In terms of your relationship with your mother, how did she impact how you are as a father first and how you are as a leader second?
My mother, she was an entrepreneur. She ran a hair salon in the kitchen of our home. And so we always had customers in the house, and I was always helping her out, emptying ashtrays, organizing the hair rollers and that sort of thing. And I watched money exchange hands, and I always joke, to me, if I close my eyes and I think about business, there's a smell to business, and the smell is hairspray and cigarettes. That's what business smells like to me. So she didn't really talk about entrepreneurialism or business. She treated it as it was a living. It was a way to make ends meet. It was a way to help pay for the bills, And she was from Thailand, and to her, business is just something you do to make a little extra money. To me, being a little bit more, I was born here in the States. My father is born in the States. He thought about business differently. He was always talking about, how does this unlock? How does this scale? And so I always dreamed of my mother just scaling out of the kitchen. And she never really did. And I think there was a little bit of disappointment in me that, this wonderful thing that my mother did never really just turned into the next Vidal Sassoon or something like that. And I think that's kind of in the DNA of Mailchimp, this sort of this understanding that small business entrepreneurs, they might start small, but they're dreaming big. They want it to be something big. And I don't know, because of my mother, I think I never called our customers small businesses. I never said small. I would say businesses, or I would talk about their dreams of becoming big, but I never called it. It's useful, internally to call it a category, SMB category, right?
Sure.
Internal reference only. That's what I would tell my writers and marketers. But outward facing, I really, really hated to use the word small business because they have big, big ambitions.
I love that in terms of kind of how that impacted, especially the smell. I also heard about your father and the fishing trips. Lottie asked, what did you take away from those, and how do you reflect on lessons from them?
Well, my father, the lake where we would go fishing was always about 45 minutes to an hour away. It was a really long drive. Whenever I drove with him, he always took the slow scenic route, the backcountry roads. And it would frustrate me sometimes because I knew after a while I would start going fishing sometimes with my brother, and we'd hop in his car and he would take the interstate and we'd get there in 15 minutes. So I knew there was always a faster path, but my father always took the scenic route. And I think that was a big lesson for me. Sometimes it's not always better to be faster. And when we went fishing, he also did not just stop, get out of the car and start fishing. It was always another mile or 2 mile hike to get to where we were fishing. Always. He always took the hard path. And, I would whine and complain all the time. And he would make me lug, the fishing poles, the minnow bucket, all of this equipment, the tackle box. And I would complain and complain and complain. And I would always wish that there was a device or some kind of transportation, like Star Trek, just beam us there. I would always talk about inventions to make it easier, and just complain that my feet were hurting, whatever. And he never said anything. This is what I remember most. He never turned around and said, hurry up, stop complaining. He never praised me either. In other words, he was very stoic, and he would be walking ahead of me and I would be whining and complaining. He would stop, turn around, and quietly wait until I caught up. And then when I caught up to him, he never said a word. He turned back around and started hiking again. And that was it. And I don't know, I think I kind of learned stuff's going to be hard. It's not worth complaining. Just keep hiking. When stuff's really, really hard, look at your feet and just keep marching 1 foot at a time. Left, right, left. That's it. He was also in the military. I remember one day, they were coming back from some kind of training mission, and it was families reuniting with all of the soldiers. And I had no idea that my father was this head of this. I don't know the platoon squad. I don't know the terminology, but I had no idea he was the leader. My father was just a kind, quiet, stoic kind of guy to me, and I got to watch him lead this big troop, all these troops, and he would. 10 hut, and then these soldiers would jump up, in formation, and they would turn and obey his every order. And I'd never seen my father act that way. To me, it was like really violent or loud. He'd never acted that way. And then, he made them do what they did, and then he put them at ease. And then he was just a very personable kind of a guy. Everyone came up, hugged him, shook his hand, I could see that there are two sides. When, if you're a leader, you do what you gotta do to lead the troops, but you don't have to be harsh and vicious all the time. You can also be friendly on the other side.
Can I ask, you said about kind of not praising you there or, waiting for you, but silently. Did he tell you he loved you?
Yeah, he did. There were times when he would say that, and there were times when he would, say that he was proud of me. It was usually after me, going through some struggle myself. He would see me just improve myself in some way. And those were when he would reserve that praise. But other times, like if he saw me struggling or stressed about something, he would say, that's the norm. That stress is the norm. If you're not stressed, you're insane. I remember him saying that. He was like, people who are just completely calm all the time and they never get fazed. You have a calm demeanor. That's leadership. But inside you can be really, really, it can feel chaotic and stressed, but you don't show it, right? But people who don't even feel that stress inside, he would say there's something wrong with them. So anyways, he would never like appease me or give me that kind of like, oh, you poor thing kind of a stuff. He would just very silently, and he would help me get through stuff. But it was if I prevailed, that was when he kind of reserved that praise.